Hi, and welcome to Gadget News and Review. We are home to some of the coolest gadgets, and the best consumer reviews online, buyer's guides and features. If you like our review, please subscribe for more upcoming reviews videos. Microsoft Surface Book Review. Did you know the Surface Book isn't Microsoft's latest flagship 2-in-1 laptop? No, that honor goes to the new, and now more affordable, Microsoft Surface Book 2. When Microsoft launched the original Surface Book back in October 2015, it took the computing world by storm. 3 years later, it's easy to see the huge influence the Surface Book had on the best 2-in-1 laptops of the last few years. We can see the Surface Book staying relevant well into the future, especially considering the fact that its successor, the Surface Book 2, is a bit too expensive for many people. The original Surface Book is an enduring device that, with a constant flow of updates like the Windows 10 May 2019 update, has continuously evolved since day one. The Surface Book is still an expensive laptop, there's no avoiding that. However, because it's basically a laptop and a tablet rolled into one device, that high price is worth it. It still has a beautiful 3000 by 2000 display, decent Ultrabook-class processors and an Nvidia GeForce GTX 940M graphics card. We're even fans of the controversial Dynamic Fulcrum Hinge, even if the Surface Book 2 improves it quite a bit. If a tear in the space-time continuum were to suddenly rip open, two things would fall out: the Terminator and then the Surface Book quickly tumbling to the earth behind it. From the snake-like hinge, the flat design and even down to the washed-out silver color of the laptop, everything about it just seems like it came from the future. Milled from two solid blocks of magnesium, the Surface Book feels sturdy and has a most minimalistic style. Along the chiseled sides, you'll find two flat edges that start from the top of the display and terminate at the tip of the palm rest. That's not the only seamless transition. Unlike most other convertible devices, the screen and base sections share nearly the same thickness and weight. Without the foreknowledge that the display can actually detach, the Surface Book looks like one continuous device, thanks to the hinge. From the keyboard deck to the palm rest, the Surface Book is one flat piece of metal, except for the glass touchpad, obviously. Even the Surface Book's display is one continuous piece of magnesium, with the only design flourishes being a mirror-finished Windows logo in the center and rear-facing camera. At the midpoint of the Surface Book, there's a piece of connective tissue that Microsoft calls the Dynamic Fulcrum Hinge. Rather than simply bonding the screen and keyboard base together, it's this key piece that makes the Surface Book work. The Dynamic Fulcrum Hinge, rather than folding flatly, like a normal laptop, coils into itself, leaving a noticeable gap between the screen and keyboard when it's closed. When opened, this same hinge rolls out and actually extends the base of the laptop, which in turn helps extend the support base for the tablet section of the Surface Book, a section that Microsoft calls the clipboard. While a traditional notebook display might weigh half a pound at most, the top section of the Surface Book weighs 1.6 pounds, because it has all the necessary parts to act as a standalone tablet. As such, the hinge has been reinforced and contains extra mechanisms, not unlike the Lenovo Yoga 900's watchband-style hinge to keep it in place. And, because the Surface Book is solid as a rock, you can even pick it up by the display and shake it around, without having to worry about the whole thing falling everywhere. And, on a flat surface, the display is held steady in place and even stays put when you have it in your lap. The only times we got the screen to move were when we tried poking the Surface Book with the Surface Pen, but that really comes from trying to operate a touchscreen on a laptop. Fortunately, the hinge on the Surface Book 2 is a lot sturdier, but again, it's much more expensive. Other than that, the strikingly similar design carries on to the Surface Book sequel. To alleviate some of the worries about the gap in the middle of the system, yes, there's a large open space right in the middle when it's closed. No, dust and other bits of nasty gunk won't slip into the interior any more than with a standard laptop, unless you're an especially messy person. After a week of using the Surface Book day in and day out, we were able to run our finger against the inside hinge and not find a single speck of dust. Another plus side of having a laptop that doesn't close completely flush is that you don't need to worry about oily outlines of the keyboard appearing on the screen. It's a design element that also eliminates the need to seat the keyboard into a recessed area. Rather, the keys stand at attention above the keyboard deck. The keyboard itself offers a luxurious 1.6 mm of key travel that caps off with a satisfying thwack when you bottom out the keys. The trackpad is just as pleasing, with its glass laminated surface. For the first time ever, we found ourselves using 3-finger multi-gestures to rotate through windows and reveal the desktop. While this is a tiny element of the Surface Book, few, if any, other Windows notebooks on the market today offer such a tight tracking experience. The Surface Book's other trademark feature is the screen, which can pop off the base with the tap of a button. Now, Microsoft was technically late to the 2-in-1 laptop game, with other devices able to perform similar actions, including the Acer Switch family, Toshiba's Click notebooks, some HP devices, the list goes on. However, Microsoft was the first to make a system as seamless as the Surface Book. Undocking and attaching the clipboard is nearly as seamless as the Surface Book's design. After either pressing the eject button on the keyboard or the virtual button in the taskbar, the screen will blink off for a second and then notify you it's safe to detach the screen with one quick tug. It's fast and simple, however, the timing takes a little getting used to. After you get the prompt to detach the screen, you have to wait for about half a second before you can actually lift the display off its base. Another unique feature to this notebook is it's the first to integrate a discrete graphics processor, or GPU, into a hybrid system. Hidden beneath the keyboard is a customized Nvidia GeForce GPU that makes this laptop just a bit more capable with media production and gaming. We've seen this sort of GPU docking technology before in machines like the MSI GS30 Shadow with GamingDick and Alienware's GPU amplifier solution. Microsoft has improved upon dockable graphics, as the Surface Book just needs a short moment to disengage the extra parts, whereas both the Alienware and MSI solutions require the laptop to reboot completely. It's a nifty feature that allows us to easily show a friend something cool, or when we want to read a digital comic book without having to lug the whole laptop around. However, it didn't really click with us until we realized how easily it allows us to bring our entire PC to another place without having to disconnect our external monitor, keyboard, mouse, Xbox controller and all our other peripherals at home. It's the coolest mechanic since the saucer separation of the Enterprise D. What's more, it leaves open a door to expandability. Because the clipboard is compatible with all Surface Book keyboard bases, not just the one it shipped with, Microsoft could theoretically come out with future upgrades that can be done through new bases. Or maybe even a desktop rig that interfaces with the display? We can dream. With a starting weight of 3.34 pounds (1.51 kilograms), the Surface Book is one of the heaviest 13-inch laptops. And that's without the optional, discrete GPU, which ends up adding a few extra ounces and bumps up this laptop's total weight to 3.48 pounds (1.58 kilograms). While this might look like a lot on paper for an Ultrabook-class device, consider the 13-inch MacBook Pro weighs just as much despite it packing a smaller screen, no dedicated GPU and fewer batteries. If you're looking for the power of a discrete GPU in an Apple device, you'll have to go all the way up to a high-end 15-inch MacBook Pro. And this is a machine that is significantly heavier, 4.49 pounds or 2.04 kilograms, and larger, 14.13 by 9.73 by 0.71 inches or 359 by 247 by 18 millimeters. Thanks to its 3:2 aspect ratio and having a 13.5-inch screen, the Surface Book is quite a bit taller than your average 13-inch laptop. Despite its peculiar 12.3 by 9.14 by 0.51 to 0.90 inches or 312,232 by 13-22.8 millimeters WXDXH dimensions, I had no problem slipping this laptop into bags designed to hold a traditional 13.3-inch laptop. The Dell XPS 13 comes as the antithesis to the Surface Book in its mission to be the smallest 13-inch laptop in the world, weighing in at 2.8 pounds (1.27 kilograms) while measuring 11.98 by 7.88 by 0.6 inches (304 millimeters by 200 by 15 millimeters). If you're looking for something to serve your basic mobile computing needs, then the Dell XPS 13 is your smartest and most economical choice. However, if you're looking for something flashier and can do more, then the Surface Book is your ticket. For those who need a production workhorse, the 15-inch MacBook Pro still wins this race against Microsoft. With a dedicated GPU, naturally the first tests we conducted were gaming ones. The clipboard and its Skylake processor have more than enough power to make Hearthstone fly, even at full resolution. Plugging the display into the keyboard base unlocks even more performance from the dedicated GPU. With the discrete graphics chip in tow, the Surface Book can play Rocket League at 30 frames per second (FPS) in full screen and medium settings. For more hardcore games, like Metal Gear Solid: The Phantom Pain, we were able to get it running between 24 and 29 FPS, but only after dropping down to 1080p and practically turning off every setting. Microsoft's first laptop won't be replacing the best gaming PCs anytime soon, but it's surprising how well this machine gets along with only 1 GB of VRAM. Of course, all this power also makes the Surface Book a productivity beast that easily takes on task after task. Lightroom runs incredibly fast on this 13-inch laptop thanks to the added power of the Nvidia graphics. What's more amazing is we're able to edit photos quickly while having a browser full of 10 tabs and streaming video pushed over to a connected monitor. Here's how the Microsoft Surface Book performed. DMARC CloudGate 7285, Skydiver 6089, Firestrike 1868. Cinebench CPU 301 points, graphics 32 FPS. Geekbench 3166 single-core, 6635 multi-core. PCMark 8 Home Test 2336 points. PCMark 8 Battery Life 3 hours and 58 minutes. The Surface Book has broken all sorts of benchmark speed record thanks to its hot new Intel Skylake and Nvidia GeForce chipset. Just in terms of processing power alone, its 301-point Cinebench score is a significant jump compared to the Dell XPS 13, which ran with the last-generation Broadwell Intel Core i5 chip. Thanks to the extra boost from the discrete graphics chip, the Surface Book also has more than double the performance for gaming. This is evidenced by its 1,868-point Firestrike score compared to the Dell's 739-point performance. The only figure we could draw to compare this machine to the 15-inch MacBook Pro is the Geekbench score. In the multi-core test, Microsoft's laptop finished with 6,635 points, whereas two outlets saw the 15-inch Apple's Steely Steed completed the test with an average of 14,258, an unsurprising result, considering the MacBook Pro has twice the number of processor cores. With 3000 by 2000 pixels under its belt, the Surface Book sits at a happy middle ground of being sharper than most other laptops, including every MacBook in existence, without the troubles that plague 4K screens. You'll never see the separation between the pixels, because they're so tiny, and Windows 10 scales beautifully at 200%. While most applications, including the Origin, Steam and Battle.net launcher would look tiny on a 4K screen, these windows look small, but not uncomfortably so, on the Surface Book. We even like the 3:2 aspect ratio. The ability to read more lines of text and not have a Lightroom window that's not vertically squished together more than makes up for the thick black bars that appear when you watch movies. Microsoft fashions its displays after A4 paper, which makes the clipboard feel like a natural device for writing and artwork. Within 5 minutes of handing the Surface Book over to an artistic friend, who works as a designer in the fashion industry, she was already drinking the Kool-Aid. According to her, using the Surface Pen is incredibly accurate, and the screen gives just enough to the point where it emulates the feel of painting and drawing on real paper. Now that Microsoft has started to patent new versions of the Surface Pen, complete with haptic feedback functionality and a touch-sensitive retention clip, we're curious how else the company plans to improve upon its winning stylus in the future. For the time being, however, we're admittedly satisfied by the 4096 pressure sensitivity levels of the most recent Surface Pen. Should it get better, it would only be icing on an already delicious cake. Sadly, the speakers don't make as big of an impression and really only sound good enough for some casual listening. While they avoid the problem of being tinny, as most laptop speakers are, they also lack any depth with barely any bass. If you're looking to settle down for a movie or a quick game, you'll want to plug in a pair of headphones. Battery life on the Surface Book is both pretty good and surprisingly disappointing. While Microsoft has promised 12 hours of continual usage and other outlets report getting even more juice out of the machine, our best time for the device was 7 hours and 39 minutes. As for the clipboard on its own, the tablet can last for 4 hours. While these are more than respectable numbers considering all the hardware inside the Surface Book, we honestly expected a much longer run time. The good news is this notebook recharges quickly, going from 0 to 100% charge in under 2 hours. This could largely be due to some problems early Surface Book owners are running into. Our unit seems to be among this group of afflicted models. Just some of the major bugs include the system not starting up properly when connected to the dock and display driver failures. The latter of which cause battery life to drop dramatically by 3 or more hours. Microsoft has said it is aware of scenarios where Surface Book's display may deliver a display driver error and that we'll address through fixes issued via Windows Update within a few weeks after launch. By comparison, the older generation Dell XPS 13 lasted for 7 hours and 40 minutes, while several outlets were able to stretch their usage of the most recent 15-inch MacBook Pro for an average of 9 hours and change. So again, the Surface Book's battery life is by no means terrible, but it could get a lot better with future updates. Has Microsoft made the ultimate laptop? And the answer is not quite, or, at least, not quite yet. The Surface Book still has some growing pains to get through, and its substantial size may not jive with everyone. However, this is a great first crack, and it's made the concept of two-in-one laptop look and sound more believable than anyone else has. The majority of hybrid laptops to this point have followed the back-flipping model established by Lenovo's Yoga series. This is largely because models with detaching screens were clunky and chunky, but Microsoft has perfected the concept by splitting the laptop in half. All the essentials for a Windows 10 tablet are packed into the clipboard, which can be used as Surface Tablet unto its own. But then the slate marries perfectly with its other half that contains extra batteries and a dedicated GPU. The Surface Book's design isn't for everyone, but I simply fell in love with its futuristic look. Whether it looks odd or just ahead of the curve will depend on your perspective, but you can't deny Microsoft has made a daring move with its Dynamic Fulcrum Hinge. Two-in-one laptops, and especially those of the detachable variety, have had their ugly duck moments. This is no such moment for Redmond. Beyond looks, every design element of this laptop is full of purpose, from the rolling hinge to how quickly you can detach the clipboard. The Surface Pen and the display work together beautifully for creating art that I will never understand beyond jotting down my notes in Chicken Scratch. And then there's the Surface Book's undying performance that just won't let up whether you're working on spreadsheets, editing photos or even enjoying some light gaming. While we praise this hybrid for its incredible performance, there are heavy limits on just how many games it will play with only 1 GB of video memory. The early bugs are also something I can't ignore, but they're to be expected from the first run of the first laptop ever created by Microsoft. Though some small parts of the Surface Book experience are borked as of this writing, you can bet Microsoft won't be resting on its laurels. Updates will continue to come out quickly one after the other, and just in the time of 1 week, we've already received 2 software patches that have fixed a few of my early problems with the device. If you were to strip away the clipboard's ability to detach, the Surface Pen, the neatness factor of the Dynamic Fulcrum Hinge and just about everything that makes the Surface Book unique, you would be still left with terrific laptop. That's what we love the most about this device. Underneath all the extra stuff, the Surface Book is a solid laptop in terms of ergonomics, performance and, yes, even battery life despite the promises. Incorporating all the extras, from the ability to run off with the clipboard, the incredible accuracy of the Surface Pen and the engineering feats of the Hinge, they all serve to enhance the experience, rather than detract. In time, Microsoft will smooth out all the rough edges of its first go. Both the Dell XPS 13 and 15-inch MacBook Pro are well worth purchasing in their own right. But if you want an excellent laptop that does just a bit more, then the Surface Book is your ticket.